You know that hitting the snooze button in the morning can actually affect your productivity for the first 4 hours after you wake up? I was shocked when I heard that. I heard it on a YouTube channel or on a podcast one day. I wish I could find that again. This was a few years ago where someone talked about that hitting the snooze button can actually affect our productivity because it causes head fogginess and head fuzziness or fogginess in the morning. And I got really curious with that because I wanted to find out, like, what is so wrong with hitting the snooze button? Because I don't know about you, but that was one thing I used to enjoy doing. I would hit the snooze button. I would lay there doing my gratitudes. Sometimes I would fall asleep again. I would then hit the snooze button a second time so I could start again doing my gratitudes. But I never realized how much it affected my productivity during the day, especially in the morning hours. And so I've stopped doing that because now I know better, and you can't do better until you know better. That's a Maya Angelou quote. And so now that I know better, I actually do better. And I wanted to share with you in this video a few tips on how you can stop yourself from hitting the snooze button. And I also wanted to explain what I've been able to find out or figure out or understand of what actually causes us to feel this fogginess and lack of productivity just by hitting the snooze button. So stay tuned, watch the rest of this video, and you'll be able to get more information. So for those who don't know me, my name is Carol Richard. I am the founder of the Sleep Success Academy. We help sleep-deprived individuals get the sleep that they need. We do this by looking at their emotional well-being, their mindset, and their behavior. So putting all three together. If you don't already have a copy of my free guide, why don't you go to the website sleepsuccessacademy.com. If you scroll down about halfway through on the homepage, you'll see where you can put your name and email address, and a copy of the guide will land in your email box. Now you can unsubscribe anytime after you receive that. Also, why don't you subscribe to this channel, hit like, and share this video with anyone who it might help. If you know someone hitting the snooze button and you think this information might help them feel better, please share, because this is how we're going to get better sleep for everyone, is by sharing the knowledge that we have. All right, so what actually happens when we hit the snooze button? So who's guilty of it? Me. Not anymore, or I should say not a whole lot anymore. The odd time I might still do it, but I'm very mindful that it can actually affect my productivity. And if I have a really big day, or if I want to be on and more focused in the day, I make sure that I don't hit the snooze button on those days. And so what happens? So when we are sleeping, we go through sleep cycles. So for those who aren't aware, like during a 7.5 hour sleep, we would have about 5 sleep cycles, because they're about an hour and a half each, 90 minutes each, give or take. And so some people only need 4 sleep cycles in a night. That would be the people that sleep 6 hours. I'm a 7.5 hours, so I need my 5 sleep cycles. And other people sleep like 9 hours. That would be 6 sleep cycles in a run of a night. Now, I've tried sleeping at 9 hours to see what my body would feel like. And I had a lot of grogginess from that. It was too much sleep for what my body needed. And when I do 6 hours, it's not enough sleep for my body. Yet my husband functions very well on 6 hours, and I need 7.5. So it's very individualized, and you've got to personalize that for yourself. And the way to do that is actually to experiment with each and see what feels best. But what happens when we hit the snooze button is we are awake, we get woken up in the middle of a sleep cycle. And so this sleep cycle is really like when we fall asleep would be stage 1. And then stage 2 is very light sleep, like we're in that sleepy state, but it's not really doing anything. Then stage 3, 4 is where our physical body restores itself. So it's very important to get some deep stage 3, 4 sleep for the physical body, the growth hormone, especially if you're sick, you want that extra boost of deep sleep in there to help your body regenerate. And then REM sleep, which is the last stage in this sleep cycle, is where your mental restoration happens. In REM sleep is where we have more dreams. It's where we're processing more events from the day. That's where our stress gets processed. And sometimes that's why we have weird dreams, is because our brain is processing the stress of the day or events from the past. And so knowing that, we know that we need to complete a sleep cycle for our body to go through all that. So when we hit the snooze button, we're actually starting a sleep cycle again and getting ourselves out of it in like 10 minutes, starting a sleep cycle again, getting yourself out of it in 10 minutes. So this lack of being able to complete the sleep cycle is actually what causes the grogginess. And I don't know about you, but if you've woken up in the middle of a sleep cycle, so if you're actually someone who sets an alarm to wake up, but sometimes the alarm goes off and you're just having a hard time getting out of bed, that is probably because you're in the middle of your deep sleep or you haven't finished your sleep cycle. So what ways could you then start not having to hit the snooze button or even not waking up to an alarm so that your body can wake up more rested? For me, I know that because I go to bed on a consistent basis, wake up on a consistent basis, most of the time I'm awake about 10 minutes before my alarm. I still use an alarm, just out of habit, but I wouldn't really need it. But I use it because I think if I was to wake up through the night and I would fall asleep again, I'm not sure what time it is, and I never look at the time overnight. So the alarm is letting me know that it's time for me to get out of bed and not think that I've only been in bed for an hour and then I'm trying to fall asleep again when it's actually time to actually get out of bed. So knowing that when you're consistent with your sleep, the chances or the need to use an alarm lessens and you don't wake up in the middle of sleep cycle. And the other thing is, if you're hitting snooze after you wake up and you keep falling asleep in those little 5 or 10 minute increments, you are creating so much head fogginess. And that is why it's hard to be productive, because you're not allowing your body to complete the sleep cycle. So what ways, now that you know this, what ways could you ensure that you don't hit the snooze button? So I'll share my way that I found out how to stop myself from doing that. And it can be silly. You do whatever works for you. When my son was at university, so he's home for the summer now, but when he's away and it's just me and my husband in the house, because we wake up at the same time in the morning, I would bring my phone in another room. And so when the alarm went off in the morning, I actually had to get out of my bed, walk to another room, pick up the phone to turn it off. And then I'm not going to go lay down again. So it was my way to actually get out of bed. Now that my son is home, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to have to bring my phone back in the bedroom, but I still want to use the alarm clock on my phone. So how am I going to do that? And one night I just had the thought that I'm going to open the bottom drawer where I hold all my yoga pants, and I put my phone in there. So in the morning, I have to get out of bed, walk around the bed to go open that drawer to actually get out my phone to turn it off. And by then I just then move on with my day. I don't go lay down again. So that's how I found a way to stop myself from hitting the snooze button, because it's too important for me to feel good. And when I didn't know any better and I kept hitting the snooze button, then great, I didn't know any better. But now that I know better, it's up to me to be responsible enough to do better. And that's how I found a way to do it. So I'm just curious, now that you know this, that hitting the snooze button can actually decrease your productivity and make you feel groggy in the morning. What are you willing to do? And what will be your attempt to not hit the snooze button again? Like, how are you going to do that? What are you going to do with your alarm clock? Are you going to bring it in another room? Are you going to put it somewhere where it makes you get out of bed? Or are you just not going to use an alarm clock? Could be an option, and just wake up naturally. And when you do, you just get out of bed, so you don't fall asleep again. So looking forward to hearing your comments. Again, if you need to reach me, just do so at support@sleepsuccessacademy.com. I'm always here to answer any questions, or if there's anything you want a video done on. If I don't have the information, don't worry. I love digging and finding what I need to help people sleep better. Till next time.